Here it is, the final to the 4-part series. Sorry it took a little while to get this one out. I'm going to keep this intro short because the video is long. And I'm going to tell you, if you're not interested in wood burning and watching somebody wood burn, it's probably not the most exciting video for you. So you won't hurt my feelings by not watching it. Another thing is I'm having trouble with music and copyright issues with YouTube right now. I've got to find a better way of putting music in there. Every music I put in there gets nabbed and they won't monetize my video, so I have to turn off the music. So there's going to be some parts of fast forwarding of me just burning. That's going to be silent. I try to talk over most of it. So either way, I hope y'all enjoy it, maybe learn something from it. It's the first time I've done a video like this. You can go to my Instagram and I do live burns on there, and I've been starting to do that, where at night when I'm just out here burning, I turn it on live and just burn and talk, and y'all can ask questions or whatever. It's just kind of fun. I don't even usually save the video on my Instagram, but my Instagram is EPS Garage, and you can find that there. So enjoy. Let's get started. I got all my stuff: tracers, sandpaper, screwdriver, everything we talked about. I got some pins. I'm going to start with a shading pin, and I got a fine edge pin. Start this some low heat. You got my whiskey. Cheers. And I like to start in a corner, somewhere in a corner. I don't know, it's just the way I do. You can start anywhere you like, but that's just kind of what I do. And I think I'm going to start here with kind of slowly getting this shading right here. And I am going to show y'all something. So remember, this photo stopped right here. So technically we have all this blank space. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that a little bit later. So that way you don't, I talked about it I think in my first video or second video, that way you don't just have a perfect line because the picture didn't fit your piece, if that makes any sense. All right, let's start this really low, and I start making some burns right here. I know a lot of this gives you reference too. See, it's just really, really light burn. And Shelby brought up a good point in one of her videos. When you hold it to the light, you can see shiny where you ran your burner across. So even if it's really light, you can still see that. I don't know if I could pick that up on here. Camera shows up way better. I can barely see these. Got a few shaded areas started. Here's a good example of what I was talking about in the last video. I got these dark carbon marks. These are going to be way darker than my shaded area. I'm going to go ahead and lighten those or remove them. It's a lot better. A lot of what I'm doing here is slowly adding reference lines. And what I mean reference lines, very light marks that I can come back to later, knowing that there's a crease, fold, something in the cloth, and I can make it darker and adjust it as needed to. But for the time being, they're just light marks. Again, see these lines? These lines are probably not going to be as dark as my shading. So good time to remove those because I got burned there now. And those lines are gone. Yeah, I'm going to add all this blood. I haven't decided on color yet. I know for sure we will do at least the blue, and I always use white to highlight. But generally, as I'm going along my piece, I'm contemplating on, Andy, are we going to use color? Now these little crinkled areas, these creases, notice you have a dark area and then it kind of comes off of it like that. So it goes from dark to light. Dark to light. That'll give it the effect later of it being like one of these little crinkles in this collar or whatever. And shading is always slow going. I did speed up these areas where I didn't have a lot to say, but it's just slowly adding layers. As you can see right now, well, you can't see. You will be able to when I fix this. I'm on like between 5 and 6. I don't think it really calculate. I don't know if it calculates between those, but that's the light burning I'm doing so far. Even though it's slow going, I really enjoy it. And remember, you can always add more darkness. It's hard to take it away. So just stay light and add more as you need it. And I already know this is going to be pretty dark. This is going to be really dark. So kind of the light eventually doesn't really matter. It's going to get darker and darker, and then you leave your lightest marks, which this is probably going to be the lightest that these will be, I'm thinking. Later on, we'll be torching this, so not too worried about it right now. Let's turn this heat up. Let's do some really dark areas so we can start getting some references. Turned it up to like 8. You're going to see this thing really cook now. It's going to be really dark in here. You're looking at the mouth. Here. And this whole entire thing is dark. It's makeup. So these are kind of what I was saying, easier, because you're not having to really worry about what color. It's just dark. That's it. Now, this area where this line is, it's going to fade into dark because the mouth is kind of there, and it's going to be kind of a little more faded, but we won't worry too much of that. I'm gonna start pulling in from here. I'm just kind of pulling the color, and as the quicker you pull, the lighter it gets. See how light it got, like a streak. But if I slow cook it and pull fast, so there's some of the effects you can get. This is all going to be really dark. What I'm trying to do is get a buffer area, because later on we're going to use the torch, burn all this other stuff to do some blending, and this kind of gives it that buffer so I don't accidentally burn or I don't want to burn. So I always take mine wherever it's going to be really dark. Plus, I kind of drew an ear in here. You can barely see the ear, and I may kind of incorporate that very lightly here. I don't know, we'll see. There we go. Done. Just kidding. It's gonna be a long video. Sorry, y'all. Not gonna do the eye yet. I'm going to try to get really close up when I do the eye for y'all, because the eye is one of my favorite parts. It really starts to come together when you do the eye. I don't know what it is. It's like it comes to life. Now, I'm going to leave around the eye a little bit, and I'm going to fade this in. It'll look more like a curvature into the eyelid later. Like that. We're at so far. See how I made that dark into light just by the speed of the pen. Pen's on fire, y'all. It's like hot. But this has a little bit of shading to it, and I don't want to miss out on that. So I'm going to be careful and make sure that indicates that. Dark areas in the mouth here, I'm going to go ahead and get some of those knocked out. That. Now there's some shading on these teeth and stuff like that. We're going to want to do that at lower heat. Another dark spot we have is around this eye, but it's not quite as dark. So what I'm going to do, take off some of this heat. I'm going to turn it down a little bit, pull it from there, and it's going to be a little darker in this. I'm just trying to build that color up so I know. It's going to be kind of a shaded area, kind of like this. I'm going to shade that out. That around the eye kind of makes it look a little more natural. And then into here. Now this does get shaded. It starts really light. By you can see here, see how it goes from really light to dark. So I made my reference line kind of in the middle. So that reference line is probably going to be too dark, and I'll have to use my eraser. See, I told y'all, man, you use this thing a lot. From here, I've got a reference now, my shading. So now that line's gone, it'll start looking like shading. Switch to sparkling water. It's only 9:30 and everybody's in bed. So I figure I'm not tired. Why not come out and burn? So, where do we leave off? Oh yeah, starting to shade this area of the eye. I'm going to try to put some detail in the eyebrow. It's really small. Then kind of go over dark. More detail. Now remember when I told you that the eyes really bring out your piece. Let's go ahead and do his right eye, left eye to us. Oh, see, 2 pins. This is why this is that little process I was talking to you about. It's not that big of a deal. But I'm going to put in my fine point tip. I like this one for small detail. Put it in there. And we're going to start pretty low heat, 6 maybe. And let's start doing this eye. We're going to start with the pupil. Do the pupil. I go a little heavier heat because that's really dark. And I'm just going to start, adding the darkness until I get to the color that I want. And no matter what, I think we're going to add like a brilliant blue to these eyes, because I think even if we left it all, even add black to those. See, now this, the reflection, that's important. Like having some dark in here. So if you were going to do this with no white, really just concentrate on these little areas of and make sure you didn't burn them. Add a little bit of touch of but really going to make those pop with some white. All right, color. And what in the hell? Just like that, my mic didn't work, all the sound was gone, and now I'm just gonna have to try to remember what I was saying. I know it had to do with color, but hey, this will probably speed it up because I'm not gonna sit here and just talk. Instead, I will fast forward this and tell you what I'm doing. All right, let's do this. My guess is I'm talking about how cool I am. Just kidding. I'm talking about this paint. I buy this paint at Walmart. It's like $1 something for those little containers. Works great. It's water based. I use it for most of my little craft projects and stuff like that. Well, it looks like I already started this and didn't record it. So here we go. I don't paint all my projects, y'all. A lot of wood burners are against painting them altogether. However, I feel some pieces color just really brings it out and it looks good with the burn contrast. So in this case, with it, you know, Pennywise the Clown, I really felt like the color was important on this, especially his eyes, a little bit of red. I didn't add hardly any white, just the color, and sometimes that really makes your piece pop out. Probably use white the most, and I use that for like a sparkle in an eye, maybe shiny on saliva or water, you know, stuff like that to highlight areas. But that's really it with the painting. You just keep adding in layers until you like how it looks. You don't ever want to just use straight paint unless you're just really looking for that dark look. But if you water it down, layer it, it'll look a lot more natural. Right here I kind of screwed up and got too much color on there, and whoops, had to kind of dab it off. But you know what, it's always savable. You can always blend it in and, you know, make it part of the piece, and it gives it kind of character. This piece sold quick too, y'all. I don't think it made it one day actually, so it worked out for the best. Felt like I needed to add a little bit more shading in there on the clothing. You know, just the final touch-ups on this piece. I feel like signing your piece is one of the most satisfying parts. I sometimes do this with paint if it's a really dark project and there's dark area, or I burn it. I'll burn my signature in there if it's got light areas down there in the corner, and I always do it either in the left or right-hand corner. And that's really it, y'all. And there it is, framed, one of my signature frames. And I always get a picture with the customer when they buy an original. Y'all take care.